our trustee and good friend, William Parker over here, carried me up into the rafters, and he proved to me that we didn't have a leak from above. We got a leak from below, and we are going to have to do some major stuff underneath because it has now deterred the function of the air conditioner due to wet ductwork. Am I right?
We had major water coming
into the duct and wet the insulation and the whole bit. So now it seems like there's no end, but hey, we're turning this thing into a sealed purse, I'm going to tell you that. And so I noticed at a funeral, and Gay brought it to my attention that it was getting warm in here, and we bought $15,000 worth of units a few years ago, and it shouldn't have done that even though it was a hot afternoon, and we have found out more why through your investigation, William, and then some others who came up and looked. So we're continuing to work on things. I appreciate so much the new look, and we are very close, I think, to our new piano, which will complete our work in here. But then we're going to be doing some stuff underneath. I want to share with you, yes. Well, I reckon I should, shouldn't I? Stand up, y'all, please. Number 580. Lead on, O King eternal, the day of March has come. Henceforth in fields of conquest, thy tent shall be our home. Through days of preparation, thy grace has made us strong. And now, King eternal, we lift our battle song. Lead on, O King eternal, till sin's fierce war shall cease, and holiness shall whisper the sweet amen of peace. For not with swords loud clashing, nor roll of stirring drums, with deeds of love and mercy, the heavenly kingdom comes. Lead on, O King eternal, we follow not with fear. For gladness breaks like morning where thy face appears. Thy cross is lifted o'er us, we journey in its light. The crown waits the conquest. Lean on, O God Almighty. Please be seated. Thank you, Sarah, because I enjoy singing our hymns, and I always mean to sing them all, but sometimes. I'm continuing to talk a little bit about Moses because he helps us to realize God and God's movement in a person's life and in a people's life, meaning the Hebrew people. And I just, as I looked today, I said, well, we'll just continue on in chapter 17. From the wilderness of sin, the whole congregation of Israelites journeyed by the stages as the Lord commanded. Now they camped at Rephidim, but there was no water for the people to drink. The people quarreled with Moses and said, give us water to drink. Moses said to them, why do you quarrel with me? Why do you test the Lord? But the people thirsted there for water, and the people complained against Moses, and they said, why did you bring us out of Egypt to kill us and our children and our livestock from thirst? So Moses cried out to the Lord, what shall I do with these people? They are almost ready to stone me. They're about ready to kill him, okay? The Lord said to Moses, go on ahead of the people and take some of the elders of Israel with you. Take in your hand the staff with which you struck the Nile and go. I will be standing there in front of the rock on Horeb. Strike the rock and water will come out of it so the people may drink. Well, Moses did so in the light of the elders of Israel. He called the place Massah and Meribeth because the Israelites quarreled and tested the Lord, saying, is the Lord among us or not? Then Amalek came and fought with Israel at Rephidim. Moses said to Joshua, choose some of the men for us and go out, fight with Amalek. Tomorrow I will stand on the top of the hill with the staff of God in my hand. So Joshua did as Moses told him and fought with Amalek while Moses, Aaron, and Hur went up to the top of the mountain. Whenever Moses held up his hand, Israel prevailed. Whenever he lowered his hand, Amalek prevailed. But Moses' hand grew weary, so they went up there and they took a stone. They propped his hand up, y'all. What can you say? Then the Lord said to Moses, write this as a reminder in a book and recite it in the hearing of Joshua. I will utterly blot out the remembrance of Amalek from under heaven. And Moses built an altar and called it, the Lord is my banner. He said, a hand upon the banner of the Lord. The Lord will have war with Amalek from generation to generation. May God bless that portion of Scripture from Exodus. Let us pray. Holy God, as we explore the Word, let us feast on it. Let it become our food for our souls, food for our minds. Let us realize the opportunity we have as individuals and corporately as your church. Oh God, be among us. Reveal yourself to us now. In the name of Jesus, let us share his prayer together. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. Lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, the power, and the glory, forever and ever. Amen. When my son was playing baseball and soccer in school, he did quite well, such that his senior year, they elected him as a captain of the soccer team. I got him in the car one day and I said, Rick, listen, if they have thought enough of you to elect you as captain of the soccer team, then I want you to know that you need to be a leader on that team. I want you to help the guys. I want you to help the team to play together and to win and do the things that a leader does. Some years ago, he waited late in life to finish college, but he got a job with the State Employees Credit Union. He had a contractor's license to build houses and an electrical license to wire houses. And so that was his history. And he worked for a plumbing company, so he knew right much about construction. They put him on a team, not at a place like in front of the Ford dealership here in town, but he was on a team. And they buy big buildings in Raleigh. He told me on one occasion, they got so much money, they stroked a check for $157 million for a big building in downtown Raleigh. Well, if they have any issues with that building, they call in that team that Rick is on. And if it's heating and air, if it's plumbing, electrical, leaking roof, anything, they call that team in. And whichever one building he's assigned to, then they call on him to get contractors in there to take care of it. And I told him one day riding in the car, I said, Rick, I said, here's where you need to be in that job. I said, you need, whenever something's going on, you try to be right in the middle of it, and you try to help solve the problem, such that gradually, when they have an issue, especially a challenging issue, the first thing they say is, we need to get Rick on this. I said, when they say that, I can tell you now, if they have a layoff, you won't be a part of that. If there's a promotion out there, you'll be a contender for it. Being a leader warrants leading. It's not easy. There are hard decisions that have to be made at times, but whenever you are leading, people are watching. And it's a great challenge, to say the least. Steve May tells the story that this guy playing professional football, after a few years playing, he came out of the NFL and he got a job with a big insurance company selling life insurance. They figured, no doubt, that he had some wealthy players that he might be able to tap and that kind of thing. And so he's in a meeting. Well, every Monday morning they had a meeting, a sales meeting. And at that meeting, the manager was always pushing and shoving and so forth. And he looks at the former football player. He says to him, he said, look, in the NFL, when players don't meet expectations, they get rid of that player, don't they? And the player was cool, the way that Steve tells it. He didn't make a big thing out of it. He said, maybe, he said, but whenever the whole team is not doing very well, they generally fire the coach. And I liked that. Get rid of the coach. Leadership is a responsibility. It really is. If the team wins, generally the coach gets a raise in pay or maybe some bonus or whatever. If the team loses and they're not doing well, then the coach will probably get fired. Promotions are often a matter of losses and gains. Since leaders have to be reminded of the bottom line, many are willing to do anything in order to achieve that. I hate to admit it, but I will say that this does not apply to Richard. As much a sinner as I've been in my day, and now and then, I don't do everything perfect most of the time. What are you laughing at over there? But I always was amazed at some of our big-time preachers who had a way with numbers. They'd have 275 in worship, and somebody asked certain preachers that I won't call by names because one of them preached in this area for a little while. Big-time preacher he was in his day. They said, how many did you have on Sunday? I don't know if there were 400 there or not, but it was close. Somebody counted 275. The kind of leaders who pay a tremendous price are those who surrender their respect. They resort to fear, browbeating, as the insurance man did, bullying sometime if they think they can get away with it. And they always have to watch their backs, because if you don't treat your employees right, then your employees are not going to look out for your company. There's two primary things they're going to do. They're going to steal from you if they get a chance, and they're sure going to lie to you. That's just the way it is. As an employer, if you don't treat your employees right, that's what you can expect. I'll never forget back in my days in Laurinburg, I appealed to my friends who used to have a house and lived on the same road way on out in the rich section from that little country church I had. I just threw that in extra, all right? And so I can remember farmers getting in trouble and challenged and this, that, and the other. And I can remember this one particular farmer, and everybody knew he didn't pay worth a hoot. Well, he bought a new tractor, big, beautiful green tractor it is, and paid a big price for it. And he was paying this guy $5 an hour to drive the tractor. That's $200 a week on a 40-hour work week. And I remember so well him telling that guy driving that tractor, he said, I paid, and he told him all the money he paid for that tractor. Before you crank that thing every day, you check the oil on that tractor. Make sure it's right. Don't you blow my tractor up. The problem with that is, in an economic society, that guy has already told the man what he thinks of him when he pay him an amount that he can't buy a car, he can't pay rent, he can't buy food, he can't live on. Don't you mess up my tractor. I remember it so well. How do we lead people to Christ? And what all does that mean? Now, Moses made the same mistake that a lot of us do, you know. We can get sidetracked. He did that on occasion. He made the same mistakes other leaders do. And the results were largely the same. Realize that Moses was in the people business on the Exodus. All those Hebrew people were following him from point A to point B. I used to know a lot of this stuff, but if you don't keep using it, you forget it. It wasn't really that many days' journey from Egypt to that Canaan land. It shouldn't have taken that long to get there, but it took them, we read, about 40 years. I want to talk a little bit first about mistakes that leaders make. One is ignoring the people's needs. Now, whenever they went to him and complained about the water, we're not talking about a complaint where, have you seen that breakfast buffet? They didn't have hardly any fruit, just some canned peaches. I was hoping they would have a big fruit section, and of course somebody making omelets, you know, or fry your eggs rather than have those egg beaters. We're not talking about that, honey. We're talking about water. We're talking about something that makes life happen, something you can't do without. You've got to have water. Now I want you to compare Moses and the frustration with the people, concerning the people around water, with Jesus. Oh, he gets out there and he shares a great message with the people. And what do the disciples do in the middle of it? Just like some of y'all do. He will hurry up and be quiet, won't he? We got to go out to breakfast. He's not going to run over today, is he? You know. Jesus, getting kind of late over in here, Jesus. These people probably going to want something to eat. We aren't prepared to buy all these thousands of people food that have followed us out here. You probably need to kind of draw it to that last hymn, Myrtle, and let them go. And what does Jesus say? Just tell them to sit down in groups. He wanted the people to see the power and the glory of God. It wasn't just about somebody being hungry, wanting something to eat. He wanted to reveal what God can do. And he takes a little fish and a little bread, he gives thanks, and he feeds everybody, and then they go around with the baskets like Kathy had a while ago with the cups in it, and they begin to take it all up. A whole lot was left. They didn't waste any. A marked difference between a leader. Will y'all quit complaining? Will y'all be quiet? Just tell them to sit down. Let's move from being an inadequate leader to just see it. And that is one of the greatest things I can say to you today, if you'll hear me clearly. Are you listening? As old Bill Bet used to say, you do hear me now. He wasn't a preacher, y'all. He wasn't. But what I would say to you is simply this. What you need to hear today is that God can reveal God's own power and God's own glory through somebody who's willing to let it be released. I've seen it for 43 years. I've seen God do some powerful things in my ministry that I just shook my head and I thought, you a numbskull. Your daddy called you a numbskull. You've always been a numbskull, but look at what you just were a part of whenever God got involved in it all. You know, I think about how we push and shove people to do things in ways that we don't. My coach, I've told you this before, just died down here at Ocean Drive. He was 86. He died of COVID. And he was something, to say the least. And I can remember whenever we had football camp going on. You boys that played, all right? Football camp. We went down to Carollina Military Academy. okay, in Maxton, North Carolina. It was hot as Hades. It was the middle of August. We had 2 practices a day. Get up, eat breakfast, practice in the morning, eat lunch, rest a little while, and we'd practice in the afternoon. About burned up. I can remember this one lineman, this tackle. He was a little portly. I'm not going to say any more. So we're out there in the afternoon. It's now 4 o'clock. I don't know what the temp was, but it was high, and y'all know what we've been experiencing. And so he went to the coach. He said, I need some water. Can I go get some water? No, son, we'll all get water at the same time. In a little while, he went back and said, Coach, I got to have some water. Y'all get out of the way and let the sissy go get him some water. So he headed for the bench. He didn't even get halfway there, and he fell flat out on the ground. Scared the hound out of everybody. The ambulance came, carried him to the hospital. They gave him IVs. He was severely dehydrated. I remember that. That's the kind of leadership we had in football. Not the one I mentioned, but the other one. How well did we do under that leadership? Partially our fault. Won 3 and lost 7 the first year. The second year we won 2, lost 5, and tied 3. Yeah. They fired him. Okay? It is about leadership that makes the church realize her greatest potential. And that leadership is in the hands of God's people. You see all these people up here, aren't they pretty? One of the big reasons they're up here is because of what's her name. And if she wasn't a good leader, then they wouldn't come. Oh, Sarah, excuse me. That's what it's about. It's about taking the time to be holy. It's about taking the time to tell people to come forth. When a leader becomes too concerned about how many games they're going to win, that person, rather than the needs of the players or the people, then I don't know what will happen. I tell people all the time, whenever they become a part of the church, and they've been a part of a church, that seemed like at least once a month they get up talking about money. We're running low. I had one of those in my first appointment. The first thing we did was get a financial report. We didn't care what the business was. We wanted to know if we're going to be able to be open another month. You know, we had 20 people. I've been there. I know what that's like. I didn't talk about money every month. That just deters away from what we do. We never talk about giving in here because y'all give. We don't talk about what you ought to do. We try to show you what to do. And it makes a big difference. Leading by example is what I'm talking about. The Lord looked at Moses in verse 5. He said, walk on ahead of the people. Walk on ahead. Moses hadn't been trying to lead the people. He had been trying to push the people down the road. He wanted them to follow him, but he wasn't giving them anything to follow. You know, water's not a hard conversation. If you need water, you need to get it. The people can't have a vision with a leader who is not out front trying to lead. And whenever people come to this place, they want to know about what I told you a while ago. We're going to meet at 3:30, and we're probably going to give away $5,000. That's what we're going to meet about. Last time we asked for $5,000, Gene said, let's make it $7,700. And we reach out, and we touch, and we help to bring healing to people. I was up yesterday at Bobby's Parks house about a spring for my lawnmower. Lord, I pulled in there was cars everywhere. And I saw people going back to their cars with food from Camp Methodist. We give camp a lot of money for that food pantry. And we take up some food too. We want to feed the hungry. Because once your belly's full, then we've proven to you that we love you. And whenever we love you, it just might be we can talk to you a little bit about Jesus. You know, willing to lead, leading through groups. I remember whenever I was on the cabinet, when I was district superintendent, the bishop said to all the preachers, he said, I want every one of you to get a book. They complain, you can't make everybody happy. You know? But he said, I want y'all to get a copy of a book, Good to Great. And in that book, it compares like Philip Morris Tobacco Company and R.J. Reynolds Tobacco Company. It compares Walgreens drugstore with another drugstore. And they're all good companies with what they do. But some do better, and the reason they do better is they do it by committee. They bring the minds together. That's why we're having a council meeting today. I need you to be there. We're going to be talking about some things that you need to talk about, and you're going to be voting on some things you need to vote on. And so we want the whole church involved because we're fixing to do some more things. You're going to set the salaries for all of us to get paid around here. There are things that are going to happen today that we want our leadership there to vote on. I'm telling you, teamwork is so much better. And whenever it came time to pick the color of the carpet and pick the color of what you're sitting on, and it came time to start looking for a piano, I told her, what's her name? I said, look, you go out there and find a piano, but you need a committee to go with you. And she has a committee working with her on this. Because somebody's not going to like the shape of it, the color of it, the sound of it. Somebody's not going to like the color of the carpet. It's gorgeous. The great new pews you're sitting in, they're wonderful. You know, we have to make our best choices. And I'm going to tell you something. Around here, the folks who are in leadership at this church make good choices. We are a great people. And the reason we're a great people, because there's nobody here trying to force or push an agenda. We're all wanting this church to realize her greatest potential. And we do it through teamwork. You know, all leaders have to learn to lead. They really do. Being a leader doesn't give you power. It gives you responsibility. The real test of leadership is his or her relationship to other people. I try to come out here every day. And I didn't speak to Pat and William today, and I got thinking, you know, I miss them. I think I spoke to about everybody else here. I really love Pat. William's optional. And so it's important that you know how important you are. Because we're trying to hold it together in the second stinking pandemic that just aggravates me as bad as it does you. But I'm staying here trying to make sure that we have a church on the other side. And we're going to have one. You know why? Because y'all are here. It's just that simple. Let's stand and sing. Number 130. Wonderful thing is, though Moses only saw and Joshua led in, somehow and in some way, in spite of and because of that great leader Moses, they got there. They took a long way around. What's the southern expression? Went around the elbow to get to the thumb. They went around a whole lot more than that. But they got there. Some of you just better leaders than others. Some of you have stronger spirits than others. But every one of us have the ability, when we rely on God, to look anybody in the face and say, let me tell you what Jesus has done in my life. That is your witness. Come and go with me, you might say. Go in peace. Sunday school this way. See you again. Best I can. I appreciate your kind words. I'm fixing to marry that couple up. See you, Linda. I want to catch these folks out here from Raleigh. Yeah. Let me get out here. Where in Raleigh do y'all live?